Welcome to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda Garrett.
Welcome to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda C. Garrett. With over 20 years of experience practicing family law, Linda and her firm offer a unique blend of traditional representation and unbundled legal services custom tailored to the needs of the individual. I'm your host, John Clements, and today's episode is Conflict to Clarity, the Power of Family Law Legal Coaching. So first of all, Linda, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad and happy to be here.
I am happy to have you here as well. So let's just jump right into it. When we say the term family law legal coaching, what is that?
Well, excellent question. It's pretty much where and this is a concept that's new to almost everybody that I speak to, so I'll do my best to clarify, but let's start with what people do know. And there's the traditional services. You sign an engagement letter, sometimes known as a contract. You then pay a deposit to the attorney or retainer, anywhere from $5,000 and upwards. And that upwards could be however much, depending on the kind of case you are, where you're located in the country, et cetera. So that's traditional. And in traditional, again, this is our reference point. In traditional, that's where the attorney is pretty much in their office doing everything for you, from filing the paperwork to preparing the paperwork to appearing in court, et cetera. In legal coaching, which is one of my specialties since 2003, to which I got specialized training for this, is where I'm for either the duration or for a period of time, I do that phrase, unbundled legal services. I like to equate it to an a la carte service where you get to, as a consumer, pick and choose where you need the most help. And many times the coaching is on things that you can actually do yourself. You just don't know what the heck you're doing. Like essentially, if you're the mechanic and I'm asking you to change my filter in oil, it's because I don't know what I'm doing, but can you teach me, John? Yes. And so in the coaching scenario, I'm teaching people, in other words, helping them to help themselves in all aspects of their case, from before court filing, and in some cases all the way to a trial. So that's what family law coaching is. The big difference, though, that people need to take away from that is that I'm not their attorney. They are self-represented, and I'm helping them to help themselves. Now, just in case somebody was to think the what ifs, which I get lots of what ifs, is, well, what if I do need an attorney? What if I do have a trial and it's complicated? Well, then the beauty of the unbundled legal family law coaching services is that that's a discussion we can then have at a later date to come to the conclusion of, nope, coaching's still going to work here, or nah, you're right, it's time to have me step into your shoes for full representation. But by that point, hopefully the person has saved thousands of dollars. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Okay.
and I know I have a follow-up question about that, but
Sure.
I do like the fact that you're trying to help educate people, because my guess is, number one, you're saving them money, but also if they do become your client, I'm guessing they're much better clients if they're educated.
Oh, oh, yes, absolutely. Hallelujah. Yes, because the biggest complaint I hear from people who call me up, which is very typical, Miss Garrett, I just spent 15, 30 grand on my attorney who did nothing. I know they did, but that's their emotional belief. And the other is, I say, well, what's going on? I don't know. Like, so do you know what the hearing, is it a hearing or a trial? I don't know. It's all these things. And that is pretty typical. But the catch-22 is, out of fairness to the attorney, is that person who's got a trial and a hearing and the parents are fighting and all they could afford to pay is their attorney $3,000. That's kind of like walking into a market with 5 cents. You kind of get what you pay for, and that's all you have. So is your attorney going to have the time or the money, which it does take time and money, to explain the process? And 9 out of 10 times the answer is no. So essentially, it's almost as though when we go to this proverbial restaurant and you give the waitress the $20, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes in the kitchen. Did they drop my steak? Did they eat a fry? Sorry, I got a little something in my eye here. We don't know. And essentially, that's kind of what the paradigm is that if the less you have to give the attorney who's fully representing you, the less money he has to work with to hold your hand, not necessarily hold the hand, but at least explain the process so that you understand. And so with the coaching paradigm, if you will, you're teaching them, you're teaching them how to be me, an attorney. It's the one time in their entire life where they have the same identical powers and rights that I do in a court of law. So naturally, in the unbundled format, they are learning everything as they go. They know what the difference between a hearing, an evidentiary hearing, trial, mediation, all those scary terms that they don't know, or the phrase very common in California is that I want an ex parte hearing. And I actually this morning was on a call with a prospective client who was like, I need an attorney, I have an ex parte hearing. And I said, do you even know what that is? He goes, I don't know, but I hear I should get one. Turned out he didn't qualify. So that's the benefit of the coaching, is they learn these terms, because usually here's the rule. The bigger the fighting, or the more issues they're fighting about, the more they will be in court, as in for years. So if that's the case, why not have me teach you how to do a motion from beginning to end, as well as mediation in a trial? So if you've got to do this again, guess what? You already know what you're doing. So as you can see, I can go on, but I love this. It is my passion. And yes, I do have regular clients as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'm all about educating people and giving them the power to, engage and do things themselves. I think that's so good. And I'm curious though, then, so you've done this for a long time. So what are some common challenges or issues that coaching would help solve?
I'll say it this way. I can't think of a coaching situation that won't solve any problem. If you can think it, the biggest challenge I see people is, here's the scenario. So as I told this with Kevin, we're going to use, now you're my scapegoat. John's the one now going through a divorce. You've been married for, I don't know, 20 years. And as with Kevin, you'll be the good guy this time. Kevin, sorry, but you're the good guy.
My wife will be so happy that I'm the good guy.
Yeah, you're the, well, okay, maybe no, if you're married, then you're the bad guy.
Oh, darn it.
Sorry.
Keep my mouth shut.
Could get to shut. So what happens is that you have and let's say you have two minor children, and you and your wife one of you wants a divorce. Let's just say she wants it because you were cheating. Sorry, you were cheating. You're the cheater. And you've been married again for what we said, 20 years, 2 kids, a house, maybe a rental, and you cannot agree on anything. Her argument is that you're never going to see these kids again as long as I can help it, because she's mad. You've cheated on her. And I call it the white elephant. It's that thing in the room that kind of doesn't let the legal process move smoothly. And on your end, you're just the guy who's, again, you have a story, which is, I've been neglected by my wife. I'm just the cash cow, feed the family, get ignored, blah, blah, blah. And this girl just loves me and takes care of me and makes me a cup of tea, Miss Garrett. I've heard it all. I really have. And so what happens is that now the issues in court, from a form called FL 150, Petition for Dissolution of Marriage, is we check some boxes. And the courts want to know, what are your legal issues? Well, we got to get the ring off the finger. Like it or not, we have to divide property, the assets, the debts, liabilities like lawsuits. We have to resolve issues regarding the kids, legal custody, physical custody, visitation, child support, spousal support, pension division, and other things might come up like prenups, postnups, inheritances. We have to identify all these issues. Now think about this. If you and your wife are not talking and she does it, oh, no way am I talking to you, buddy. Just talk to my lawyer, but I don't have a lawyer. You don't have one. It's that bad. And so you're now thinking, no, well, let me go hire an attorney. He just serve him with some paperwork. And you're just the average Joe who makes 5 figures, maybe a little on the 6 figures, 120, 140. But at the end of the day, you can be stuck on one issue in court for years, custody, and you're stuck there. So what the model looks like is that in a coaching environment, I am helping my client be empowered on how to navigate all these areas. I call them the A through Z, from the ring off the finger to the pension and everything in between. And so if the bigger the elephant, meaning the more animosity, discord between the couple, the longer it's going to take. And if you hire an attorney, the more expensive it's going to be. So what I tell people is try the coaching for as long as you can, because there are things we can do in the coaching model that you can't do in the full representation. For example, let's just say you tell me, Miss Garrett, I make 90,000, it's all goes to the kids and the family. I'm right now living on my parents' couch because I can't even afford the rent. That's how tough it is for you. But I know she's hiding income. She's asking for support from me, spousal support and child support, but I know she's hiding income. And so I go, have you done what are called your disclosures? Yeah, but she only put one checking account with $2 in it and a savings with $0 in it. But I know she has money. She went to Las Vegas over the weekend. She got herself a mani-pedi. And so there's this smelling in the air of she's hiding money. And guess what? You're probably not wrong. So if you were to hire an attorney, you can't afford to do such thing as subpoenaing bank records, credit cards, hiring an investigator. On the coaching format, guess what? You can't, because now the funds are there. The money you want to give to me and have me burn through can now be used and earmarked for those things that most folks who hire us attorneys cannot afford to do. Again, that investigator. And actually, funny, we should talk about this. I was in a hearing last week, literally, where 2 attorneys, 2 parties, my client's a whopping young age of 82 and the husband's 84. And now here's the thing about older couples. They're one of 2 camps: nursing home, walker, cane, or changing diapers, or they're really happy. They're healthy, they're walking, they're independent. They kind of fall in 2 camps. So in this one case I had last week, the attorney did not show up for the last hearing where I tried to get a guardian, what's called a guardian ad litem, appointed for my client who's 83 years old or 82. And so they don't show up. So the court appoints my client's daughter to be the guardian ad litem. And so, because in her case, she had the funds, but I said, hire this investigator, because on the other side, I never saw the husband. Every hearing, the attorney says, "Oh, Your Honor, he can't walk. He's feeble. I'm so sorry he's not here, but it's even hard to get a hold of him." And my client's daughter, who is essentially his stepdaughter of 26 years, goes, "Miss Garrett, he's lying. I know this. I know this." I said, "Well, it's not enough to tell me what is your proof?" I go, "Maybe get an investigator." So fast forward, long story, but I'll do my best to keep it simple. On the day of last week's hearing of May the 6th, and we're all in court by Zoom, myself, the guardian ad litem, the attorneys in court in person. But again, no husband, no petitioner. Turns out that morning he's doing yard work. we could not have picked a better day for this investigator. The guy's doing yard work. He's bending down, and he finishes off his yard work with a 1.5 mile walk around the community on the day of the hearing. So we're all in the court, and so we now have the pictures, the video. And so in a case just like that, in one little snippet, I'm showing my client, like, look, had you hired me or hired an attorney, you didn't have the funds to do the surveillance. And now we have it. So when it comes time to ask for attorney's fees or sanctions, which is punishment for bad behavior, we now have the evidence. So that is like one of literally millions, dare I say millions? Yeah, millions of examples where the person can use the coaching to get the job done with the guidance of an attorney with 24 plus years in family law. That's just one, but there's many.
And it's so amazing because I've not heard of this approach before, and so I feel like maybe it's a bit of a unique approach, but there's so much benefit to it. I'm so glad you're sharing it with us.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
it's a passion. If you can see it, it is a passion of mine. And I often get asked, well, and this is true. This happens almost every week. Well, Miss Garrett, so you won't take my money? And I said, I know it sounds weird for me to say that, because the image is all us attorneys throughout the world are these sharks, and all we want is your money. But I don't work that way. How can I say this? Many years ago, I had an experience, I'll say 2 decades ago. And that experience resulted in me doing a deep dive search in who am I? What is my life's purpose? And one thing I noticed, it was around this time, I went to a seminar in Sacramento, and we were on a break. It was a full day seminar, and the attorneys behind us were just talking amongst themselves, which of course is natural. And one of the attorneys says to the other, I hate law. I do it for the money, pays the bills. And I was saddened by that statement, because what that sentiment is what I see when I go to court. I see burnt out attorneys. It's a really heavy place to be. If you want to be in a good mood, don't go there, because it's going to sap your energy.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way of being an attorney, then I thought, I can't be that way. I won't be that way. So I had to do a deep dive within myself and say, what are my values? How can I use my license for good to be, I get the chills as I say this, as a place of service to God. And so when I put the coaching as the first option, it's in alignment with my values, and I'm putting my clients' needs before my pocketbook. And at first they don't believe me. I say, well, try it one time. Just do the coaching once. And I've got to convince them to not waste their money. Literally, John, I have to say, don't spend your money on me. Hold up. And because they don't believe it, I go, well, what's in it for me? Nothing. I'm actually losing money by telling you this. And so they try it. And a lot of people that I've done the coaching, and I get emotional, a lot of people that I've coached have done so well in court. It's just that they don't know the rules. They don't know the procedures. They don't know how to prepare for a hearing. And once they know these basics, and yes, they are basic, they can do so much. So that is, I don't remember the exact question. I'm sorry, John, but that is
that's a
why I
great
do.
answer.
Yeah, but that's why I do the coaching, because I know it's a unique service that I provide. And most of my clients and anyone who's gone to my website has never heard of it, and they don't believe me. But I can literally, beyond this podcast, give literally thousands of examples how someone called saying needing an attorney to doing the coaching and doing very well. And you think, oh, well, maybe it's for just poor people, people that don't have the means. But no, I have coached millionaires. I have coached doctors. I've even coached lawyers, because that's the bottom line, is they just need to know what they're doing. And even rich people, many rich people just have more money, but they'll have to have more expenses and bills and toys. So they too don't have that disposable income that people think they do. And so I've coached the gamut financially, from poor to the super rich. I've coached simple issues all the way to very complicated. In fact, the more complicated it is, the more of a hornet's nest that it is, the more they benefit from coaching. Literally. Because part of the problem is that the person thinks, every person who calls me, like this morning, I had a caller this morning, assumed he was right. And I listened to a story, okay, guess what? You're in the wrong here. I am, why? And I tell him, he goes, oh. So then guess what? Once he knows he's in the wrong, then he can start discussing settlement with his wife's attorney. Boom, boom.
Yeah, that's a great, Again, it's just such a unique and great service you provide. And I think people who are listening are probably, just like me, going, I didn't know that. Wow, that's pretty cool. So if I want to call you and get a hold of you, like I've got some maybe pending lawsuit, or I don't know, I'm going through a divorce, what's the first steps I need to take to get a hold of someone like you who can coach me through the process?
Sure. Well, first of all, know this. You don't have to have any answers. You can be 100% of, I don't know what I don't know. And that's perfect. You're my perfect caller. Thank you for that. Because now you're trusting me to now work with you as a clean slate, versus, well, I heard on the internet and I read this blog, and my friend's friend who's going through divorce, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. So I am the ground zero to even before the first filing. That's my ideal, if you will, my ideal person, because then I'm not having to rewire the false narratives they have about the process. It's true, right, Miss Garrett? The judge is going to order the kids to be with mom because this is, moms get all the rights, right? So I have to unbrainwash them. So to answer your question, there's a few ways. So one of them is through going to my website, which is, if I think you'll link it somewhere, but it's www.lindacgarrett.com. Apparently there's a lindagarrett.com in Chicago. Didn't know that. So it'd be lindacgarrettlaw.com. And on 3 sections of my website, including the first homepage at the top right, it'll say schedule a consultation. And there they're able to schedule either a free consult, which is for vetting purposes only, person, if you're watching this, where we discuss about me, my experience, my services, my rates. It's about me, but it's a vetting process about the attorney. I don't discuss their case ever. And have they tried a million times? Yes, and yes. And so it's on 3 different pages, the homepage and 2 more pages that they can go to. And that's the best way. I don't recommend they call my office, because honestly, I do get so many calls and it's not needed. If you want to schedule, if the person wants to schedule, they just go to my website, click. And if they do a paid version, which is they've like, oh, I already know who she is. I love her, want to do this. And they would go to the 1 hour, and there, that link that they click on will allow for a scheduling on my calendar that's linked to my master calendar, as well as paying. And then voila, they show up on my calendar and we take it from there. Easy peasy,
Awesome.
lemon
Yeah,
squeezy.
easy peasy.
Yes.
Well, hey, Linda, it's been wonderful having this conversation with you today. So enlightening. And so I think it gives hope to people that there is a way forward. So thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you, John. And thank you for having me. You have a nice day.
Thank
Bye.
you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda C. Garrett. To connect with Linda and her team, head to lindacgarrettlaw.com. And as always, like, subscribe, leave a review. And until next time, have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.